The Mohammed Kudus transfer saga is really ramping up. I mean, by the time I do this video, something else will probably have happened. We've got a lot of people commenting on it. We've got some stories, we've got some truths, some half-truths, and some outright lies. We've got comments being made by the club, comments being made by sort of third parties, and then we've got corrections being put out there into the mainstream media by Kadus's representatives. So something is happening. I'd never place any money, any big money, on the next West Ham player to leave. But if I did, Kadus would be really high up there. The club want to sell him, and he wants to go. That much is clear. That's not even beyond doubt. What we'll try and do is we'll try and work through a few of the latest bits and pieces, some of the half-truths, some of the truth, some of the lies, and try and work out what's going on here. So, as you will have known by from yesterday, Chelsea offered... Now, I just want to clear this up. Chelsea didn't offer 5 players in exchange for Mohammed Kudus. Chelsea tried to offer a part exchange deal, which was some money, don't know how much, plus a choice of 1 or 2 of 5 players to try and make up the difference. Now, realistically, this was the first official transfer bid that West Ham have had for anyone in this window, and it was an approach. I guess it wasn't actually an actual transfer bid, but it was an inquiry from Chelsea to say, we want to buy Mohammed Kudus. Which one of the following players would you like? I'll read them out now. Dewsbury-Hall. And at least 3 of these players West Ham have been linked with, by the way, in the past. Dewsbury-Hall, Sánchez, the goalkeeper, Chukwuemeka, Adarabioyo, which is Toysin, as we could have got him on a free last season, funny enough, and Chalobah. I think that's it. Is that 5? I think that's 5. Dewsbury-Hall, he's got a double-barreled surname. He could count as 2. We're not interested. And that has come directly from the club. I believe the quote from the club was, yes, there's been an approach, but sadly, we're not interested in any of the players offered. Absolutely fine. I mean, it doesn't really matter whether I like or dislike those players. But that's an inquiry. So what does that tell us? Well, excuse me, it tells us immediately that Chelsea have interest in him and that Chelsea are bidding. Right, so that's the first thing. Now, that story was initially put out there, but there's a lot of components to this, a lot of people putting out this news. That story was initially put out there by Hammers News that Chelsea had made the approach. It was later on, we speak to the club and the club say, yes, actually, that's true. Now, later on, there was a story from a TBR football, a tribal football, who suggested that Mohammed Kudus had rejected the chance to move to Saudi. I think the club is Al Nassr. I think that's the club, quite possibly the one that Ronaldo is at, that John Duran went to. They were willing to bid or start bidding at £70 million. For Kadus, but Kadus had let West Ham be known that actually, no, I don't want to join the Saudi club. And tribal football was saying he only wanted Premier League football. Now, this is where it becomes a little bit interesting because it coincided, apparently, whether I don't know if this part is true or not. The first bit was definitely true. Whether this part is true, I don't know if this is true or not. Coincided with Arsenal lodging their interest and saying, we want to buy Kadus, but at £50 million. Now, that wasn't confirmed by anyone at the club, but they haven't denied it either. Now, what is really interesting about that is sometimes you get these little tag team things going on. Now, just maybe, we've said we've got experience of this type of thing with West Ham trying to sell players, of course, in the past. We've got experience with selling players to Arsenal. So, it immediately looked like Kadus was saying, I don't want to go to Saudi, I want to go to the Premier League. And Arsenal was saying, well, we'll buy him for £50 million, but we won't pay any more. Obviously, West Ham want to sell him to Saudi because they're starting their bidding at £70 million, and they hadn't said take it or leave it. Arsenal said take it or leave it. You're thinking, this looks like a tactic. It looks like a tag team, because if Arsenal know that Mohammed Kudus is saying no to Saudi, let's be cynical for him. I'll be cynical on your behalf, right? Let's just say that Arsenal are in contact with Kudus's representatives. They can say, look, reject Saudi, and all we will offer is $50 million. We'll try and force this cut price budget deal through and force West Ham to accept, numerically a number that ordinarily they wouldn't be looking to do. Now, this is very, very important now for West Ham to sort of stand firm on this stuff. We've seen it before. And it's important for West Ham to try and get a bidding war going. And just to say to Arsenal, no. We have to be prepared to keep Kadus. That makes it really, really difficult because we've already let it be known to the world at large, the footballing world at large, that we are skint. West Ham are skint. There's a benefit to letting everybody know you're skint. And that's if you assume that anyone believes this stuff, right? The benefit is that if you go to buy players, you can say we're skint. We haven't got any money. Maybe, just maybe, you get a lesser price. There's a downside, by the way, to letting everybody know you're skint. And that is that people offer you less money than you want because they know you're skint. And I do wonder if we're seeing a little bit of this with the Arsenal offer. I'm assuming there's an Arsenal offer. I'm assuming that's true. We don't know that. We only know for a fact that Chelsea are interested. That's all we know, really, for a fact. But there's so much of this stuff coming out that it is, as I say, I think there's no smoke without fire. We then get a correction on the story late last night from Kadus's side, basically. So we've had stuff from intermediaries, we've had stuff from the club side, we've had stuff from clubs that want to... I don't know who briefed Hammers News about the initial bid of the 5 players from Chelsea, but it turned out to be true. But we've also got this other stuff coming from the player side now, and there was a correction. The correction was, hold on a second, Kadus isn't saying he only wants Premier League football. It's Champions League football, which the club have now verified as well. So Kadus is actually saying, I want to join a Champions League club. Did I say Premier League? He's not specifying a Premier League club. He wants a Champions League club. It's getting quite convoluted, isn't it? That expands it somewhat. And it makes it, well, it opens up the bidding. So, Champions League, I think, is it fair to say, I think we can all agree that probably Manchester City wouldn't be interested. Are there European clubs who might be interested? Quite possibly, but there ain't too many European clubs who can afford the 60, 70 million pounds that we might want for the player. Forget the 85 million pound buyout clause. No one's paying it, right? I know it's different depending on what league someone bids from. It's either 80 million, 85 million, or if you're a Saudi club, 120 million. We're not getting that. But West Ham will want to get as close to it as we possibly can. And certainly you would assume, from everything that's been said, that £50 million is too little. That's too little. West Ham will not accept that. So therefore, we want to try and get a little bit of a bidding war. Not too many European clubs, I think, could buy players for over 70 million. A handful. So let's concentrate on the English ones. I don't think Man City, and hopefully I think you'll agree, that Man City won't want Mohammed Kudus. What about Liverpool? Well, maybe. But I think that's the next least likely. Arsenal are interested. Yes. Chelsea definitely interested. Newcastle, possibly. Now, Newcastle United have been linked with him. The other one is of course Tottenham Hotspur. Now that would be a turn up for the books. Now, a couple of people said yes, he wouldn't dare. He wouldn't move to Tottenham, would he? Well, we're not dealing with somebody that's born in plaster. This is not somebody who's died in the wall West Ham fan who's definitely not going to sign for Tottenham. This is a Ghanaian footballer who used to play for Ajax, who moved to West Ham because we were in Europe, who would I cannot see that he wouldn't move to Tottenham. The biggest reason he won't move to Tottenham is I just don't think I just cannot see Daniel Levy paying anyone the sort of money that we want for Kadus. And plus we know they don't have a good relationship. West Ham, whatever, Sullivan, Brady do not have a good relationship with Daniel Levy. They're just not a big history of business between them. So I don't think so. Which really means are we going to get a bidding war between Chelsea, Arsenal and Newcastle? Well, Newcastle, I think, as I understand it, Newcastle and Aston Villa both have to sell before they buy in terms of PSR. I don't know how true that is. I don't know. Look, I'll tell you what. At the moment, if you want to understand how PSR works, I'll tell you a little. Wait, you can. I'll tell you a little sneaky little tip. You're going to sign up to our Patreon account at the moment. Gio has done basically a multi-episode series breaking down PSR. It's on our Patreon page. Our Patreon basically is our third Hammers Chat channel. There's a link in the description below. We've got a 7-day free trial. If you go there and you can click on that, go and have a look. Go and look at what Gio's uploaded, and he will explain the difference between PSR, what FFP as it used to be, and cash flow, and he will explain it all perfectly, and then hopefully you will have a better grasp and understanding of it. Excellent videos by Gio, absolutely excellent videos. Links in the description below, and then you have to cancel it, otherwise because it will be a rolling thing, and your Patreon will carry on. You can just carry it on. We'd prefer you to do that. Got loads of content on Patreon. In fact, we're going to record our naked podcast later today, where we're fully clothed, of course, and we're going to talk about non-West Ham things. But anyway, apparently Newcastle need to sell before they buy. But apparently once they sell, they can then spend quite a lot of money. As I say, go and check those videos out. I think it's coming down to Chelsea and Arsenal. That would be the upshot of what I'm saying. But he is off. I wasn't going to make a prediction, but why not? We'll have a go. But who knows whether this is going to turn out to be true or not. I think Chelsea are not going to offer us anybody that we want. And why should we take any of those players? If the manager doesn't want them, I don't want to start forcing players on a manager that don't want any of them. It just goes to show, though, all those stories that we were interested in Dewsbury-Hall, we were interested in Chukwuemeka, which were relatively recent. I don't just mean under Lopetegui. Those rumours were there under Lopetegui, but since Potter's been there, just shown that they're rubbish. We've been offered them. We don't want them. So Chelsea are going to have to come back with something approaching 60 million. And Arsenal, if they want him, are going to have to come back with something approaching 60 million, which is what I think he's going to be sold for. I just think that's what will happen. My prediction is it'll be 55 to 60 million, maybe some add-ons, making it look a little bit more bulky than it actually is. But I do think he's going. I really do. I think that Mohammed Kudus will be leaving West Ham sooner rather than later.